On this edition for Saturday, October 19th, another setback for a Brexit deal. In our signature segment, the first in a two-part series on ICE detention in Louisiana.
I sense Hodgman mania.
And writer John Hodgman's take on losing status. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Allison Stewart.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Will they stay or will they go? The fate of Brexit, Britain's long-running plan to exit the European Union, remains unknown today. An extraordinary Saturday session of Parliament ended with a vote that delays a decision on Prime Minister Boris Johnson's recent negotiated agreement with the EU.
No one anywhere in this chamber believes in lowering standards. Instead,
Johnson presented the new plan to a bitterly divided House of Commons today, hoping for an end to years of debate.
and now is the time for this great House of Commons to come together and bring the country together today.
Leaders of the Labour and Scottish National Parties called the deal even worse than one Johnson's predecessor, Theresa May, tried and failed to negotiate.
Mr. Speaker, I also totally understand the frustration and the fatigue across the country and in this House. But we simply cannot vote for a deal that is even worse than the one the House rejected 3 times.
This Tory government has sold Scotland out, and once again they have let Scotland down.
In the end, there was no vote on the overall Brexit deal, only a vote to pass an amendment that is supposed to slow down the process. Outside Parliament, hundreds of thousands of protesters filled the streets, many of them calling for a second national referendum on Brexit and a chance to keep Britain in the European Union.
We need to have another say. We need to say what's on our minds. So many people have changed their minds. This is Britain today. This is the UK today. We need to be asked again, is this really what you want?
Frank Lanfett is a correspondent for NPR and author of the recent book, The Shanghai Free Taxi. He joins me now from London. What exactly did Parliament vote on this morning?
Well, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, wanted them to vote on his Brexit withdrawal agreement that would take the country out, ideally from his perspective and from the deadline at the end of this month. But instead, lawmakers in the Parliament had a different idea. They're concerned that they can't get all the legislation finished in time, and they were afraid that the United Kingdom could inadvertently crash out of the EU with no deal at all, causing a lot of economic damage. So what they said, they've passed an amendment saying we will approve this only once all the legislation has gotten done. So this has actually delayed the vote.
Who was responsible for setting up, for orchestrating the possibility of a delay?
Well, there were a number of lawmakers who were very concerned about crashing out of the EU. And also, I got to be honest, there's a lot of distrust of Boris Johnson. You remember last month, he suspended Parliament here. The Supreme Court of the United Kingdom slapped him down and said you broke the law. And so there was concern that either through accident or perhaps deliberately, some Brexiteers might try to foil things, basically mess up the legislation so that the country crashed out. So even people who want to vote for this deal were very worried. And so they backed the amendment, compelling him to ask for an extension from Brussels.
What must Boris Johnson do legally now?
Legally, he is supposed to write a letter tonight to Brussels asking for an extension. He says he won't do it. He just refuses to. And the reason is that all along he said that he would rather die in a ditch than go back to Brussels and promise to get the country out, because, of course, it's been almost 3.5 years since the 2016 Brexit vote. And so he's adamant he won't do it.
What are the true sticking points?
the true sticking point, I think, here really is the distrust of Boris Johnson and the fact that this timetable is so tight. This is one of the biggest decisions made by the UK government in many decades, and they don't want to make a mistake and they don't want to miss something.
Well, The Hill is reporting that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is calling for the deadline for Brexit to be extended, which leads me to wonder what's been the economic impact of all of these delays.
I was on a train recently up to Manchester, and I met two people who work in they're headhunters in the City of London, the financial district. They voted to remain in the EU. They said that right now they can't get any business done. People can't make a decision because there's been so much uncertainty, and in fact, they would actually back Boris Johnson's deal. So they actually were switching sides. So from a business perspective, I think that this uncertainty has cost a lot.
What do average people think at this point?
They're exhausted. What you hear a lot from people is get Brexit done. Nobody thought, certainly when this was sold to people, the Brexiteers said this would be easy. It's been anything but. And I think there's a tremendous amount of Brexit fatigue. Even some people who voted to remain would like to see this done. I hear it even from some young people. So I think people are very tired of it. It's very interesting. You talk to people and they'll say, even if there is short-term economic damage, I just want the country to move on. It's very striking. That said, thousands were out today saying we need a new referendum in this country. The deal that Boris Johnson has is not at all what we voted for 2016. So the country also remains very divided.
What is supposed to happen next? What are the next milestones?
What I think that we will see is on Monday or Tuesday, Boris Johnson will try to bring this bill back. We will also see lawmakers go back to the courts to force him to ask for an extension from Brussels. And as is often the case when we get into these Brexit crunch times, when we get close to deadlines, we just have to see sort of day to day how this plays out.
NPR's Frank Langfitt. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Allison.
To watch Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders' comeback rally Saturday in New York, visit pbs.org/newshour. Clashes between Turkish-backed Syrian soldiers and Kurdish forces continued in Syria today despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire. Both sides are blaming the other for the attacks that came on the second day of the planned 5-day halt in fighting. The agreement negotiated between Vice President Mike Pence and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan requires that Kurdish forces withdraw from territory along the Syria-Turkey border. But the Kurds are accusing Turkey of failing to maintain a safe corridor for the passage of civilians and the wounded. Speaking at an event today, Erdogan warned that Turkey will, quote, crush the heads of Kurdish fighters if they do not withdraw by Tuesday evening. Today, thousands of anti-government demonstrators returned to the streets of Lebanon for a third straight day. Protesters, angry over the country's failing economy, called for a new government, waving flags and marching past storefronts that were smashed and rioting last night. Yesterday, Lebanon's prime minister gave his government a 72-hour deadline to agree on a plan to avert an economic crisis and put an end to the demonstrations. In a televised speech today, the leader of Hezbollah said the group opposes a change in government and said every citizen is responsible for the financial crisis. Florida's Gulf Coast is under a storm surge warning of up to 4 feet as what was Tropical Storm Nestor continues to bring heavy rains and strong winds to the southeast. The system was downgraded this morning, but it is expected to affect Florida, parts of Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas through tomorrow. Early this morning, several tornadoes spun off the storm and hit parts of Florida, damaging homes. There were no reported injuries. On Tuesday, a Cuban seeking asylum in the U.S. who had been in ICE custody in Louisiana for months died by an apparent suicide. Royland Hernandez-Diaz had been on a hunger strike and had claimed abuse in prison. Louisiana has become a center of America's migrant detainee effort, housing almost 8,000 of the more than 51,000 people currently behind bars. Many of them are held in remote prisons and jails, far from legal representation. Reporting in cooperation with the New Orleans Advocate and ITVS, NewsHour Weekend special correspondent Joanne Elgart Jennings has the story, the first in our 2-part report.
When attorney Omero Lopez needs to meet in person with clients held in immigration detention, he has to make long drives from his home in New Orleans.
If you do a day trip, you're talking about 6 to 8 hours of drive, not including the time that you're physically there.
His nonprofit, Immigration Services and Legal Advocacy, provides free legal representation for migrants detained in Louisiana. And with more and more detention centers being opened in rural areas, he spends a lot of time in his car.
There's a limited amount of people who are doing the detained cases in Louisiana because there are so far, so rural, so difficult to get to and to handle.
Most of Lopez's clients are at the Pine Prairie Ice Processing Center. It's 180 miles northwest of New Orleans and holds up to 1,094 detainees. Though it's a federal facility, it's run and staffed by GEO Group, a private prison company that contracts with the U.S. government. GEO declined our request to tour the detention center, but we were permitted to enter the visitation area and meet some of Lopez's clients. 32-year-old Christian De Leon has been in ICE custody for 14 months. A native of Guatemala, De Leon came to the U.S. on a work visa, which has since expired. He was living in Alabama with his fiancée and their 3 children and working in construction.
Muy bien. ¿Cómo está usted?
How did you end up here in ICE detention in Louisiana?
I had a small car accident and the police came to help me, and then they arrested me.
De Leon was charged with driving under the influence. He says when his fiancée came to pay his bond, the police wouldn't let her.
They said that ICE was already coming for me.
ICE issued a deportation order, which De Leon is appealing. Meanwhile, he married his fiancée, an American citizen, in a brief prison ceremony. He's now applying for a green card as her spouse. De Leon is not typical of Lopez's clients. Most have applied for asylum because they feared for their lives in their home country, like 36-year-old Jamal, who came to the U.S. from Pakistan. He says he had fallen in love with a woman whose family had arranged a marriage for her with another man. When the woman told her family she wanted to marry Jamal instead, they killed her. A tribal council then ordered Jamal's execution, so he fled the country. What do you think will happen if you are deported back to Pakistan?
He kill me.
On arrival in the U.S., he asked for asylum. He's been in ICE detention for 11 months as his case makes its way through immigration court. Katie Schwartzman is legal director of the American Civil Liberties Union in Louisiana. She says that migrants like Jamal, who enter the U.S. legally seeking asylum and demonstrate a credible fear of returning to their home country, should be released on bond.
They're entitled to consideration for something that our immigration law calls humanitarian parole, which means the right to remain out in the community in the United States as ICE considers whether the grant of asylum is appropriate.
ICE's regional office in New Orleans is responsible for 5 southern states, including Louisiana. As recently as 2016, under the Obama administration, it approved parole for almost 76% of asylum cases. Under the Trump administration, that number has plunged to 1.5%. The ACLU and the Southern Poverty Law Center have filed suit against the Department of Homeland Security. They allege that ICE's New Orleans office is categorically denying parole to asylum seekers in a, quote, violation of DHS's own directive and guidelines. A federal judge agreed, noting in September that the number of parole approvals had dropped to 0% in 2019. He ruled that DHS must consider granting parole to detainees seeking asylum. The government is appealing the ruling. ICE officials say parole is designed to be narrowly applied. Brian Cox is acting press secretary.
The reality is that if people could show up at the border, make a claim, and be released into the interior of the United States, not everyone will then appear in court. And so detention, in some instances, is a necessary use of resources to ensure that persons do, in fact, appear in court.
But over the past year, ICE has held more migrants in detention than ever before, and many are here in Louisiana. Last year, there were 2 prisons holding about 2,500 ICE detainees. Now there are 11 holding almost 9,000 people. Detained migrants are less likely to win asylum than those who await trial on the outside. Omero Lopez's clients are among the lucky few who have legal representation.
Buenos días, Dixon. ¿Cómo está?
On this day, Lopez is meeting with Dixon Hernandez Naranjo via video conference. Not all detention centers allow the practice. They're trying to prepare for the tough questioning Hernandez will face in an asylum hearing the next day.
Y entonces usted mintió al oficial de ICE. No.
In his native Cuba, Hernandez was a tour guide. He says government officials accused him of speaking unpatriotically to tourists and jailed him repeatedly for what he calls thought crimes. While in ICE detention at Pine Prairie, Hernandez participated in a hunger strike. He says he and his fellow protesters were being unfairly incarcerated.
We're not criminals. We just simply want to fight for our rights, like anybody who comes to seek asylum.
He was placed in solitary confinement for his participation and missed a meeting with Lopez. Now they are having one last session before the hearing.
Bueno, nos vemos ahí por la mañana, ¿eh?
The next morning, Lopez makes a 3.5-hour drive to Oakdale, a small town in central Louisiana, which is mostly comprised of a strip of chain stores. Tucked inside a federal correctional complex is the nondescript Oakdale Immigration Court. It handles all cases for migrants detained at Pine Prairie. Lopez is here to present Hernandez's asylum case. He's hopeful, but he knows the odds are not in his client's favor.
Our judges have a very low approval rate for relief for asylum in particular, and we just don't see a lot of wins, unfortunately.
From 2013 to 2018, judges at this court denied asylum nearly 90% of the time. But Lopez and his law partner Al Page have beaten the odds lately. They won 5 out of 8 asylum cases while we were in Louisiana. Among the wins, Dixon Hernandez Naranjo. We caught up with him at the bus station in New Orleans shortly after he was released from detention. Hernandez says he's grateful to be out in what he calls a country with freedom, but he says the treatment he received in detention, especially in solitary confinement, was not what he expected in the United States.
The same experience when I've been in the hole was like the same experience when I've been in the hole in Cuba, maybe more dangerous than Cuba.
Jamal and Christian de Leon remain in ICE detention. A judge recently denied Jamal's application for asylum. He decided to appeal the decision rather than be deported immediately. De Leon has fallen ill and is being tested for a heart condition.
From frequent flyer programs to exclusive hotels and secret societies, there are many ways people chase status. But as writer and comedian John Hodgman tells it in a new memoir, there's as much a story of losing that status as in gaining it. PBS NewsHour Weekend's Christopher Booker sat down to chat with Hodgman to find out more.
It was a pair of short-legged cattle-herding dogs that confirmed one of John Hodgman's creeping suspicions.
That's Linus the Corgi and Chompers the Corgi, 2 extremely popular corgis on Instagram. I learned this when they were invited to the same exclusive party that I was, and I realized they were more famous than me.
Though it had been a few years since he had lost his status as what he calls a famous minor television personality, it was the corgis who really humbled him.
There was no sense hiding my feelings. It was terrible not to be on television, to learn that you were not even as famous as the least famous dog on the internet. But it is a pleasure to be human.
While Hodgman may enjoy being human, his new book, Medallion Status, is an explanation of what it felt like when the world reminded him that that was indeed what he was.
These are just true stories from my life. In this case, my life as a very famous minor television personality, and all the secret rooms and first-class lounges and exclusive parties that even the minorest fame affords you, and then what it felt like to be kicked out of those rooms and to come back down to earth as a regular human being.
Hello, I'm a Mac. And I'm a PC.
Ironically, John Hodgman had earned his medallion status, a name he borrowed from a high-prestige frequent flyer program, during his time spent playing a non-human.
Well, first I got to download those new drivers, and I got to erase the trial software that came on my hard drive.
I could not walk in an airport without people saying, I'm a PC.
What's going on, PC? Oh, this PC's getting an upgrade. Hey.
Because more than anything else I had ever done or ever will do, more eyes were laid on me then than ever before.
From 2006 to 2010, Hodgman was one half of Apple's wildly successful Get a Mac campaign.
Actually, the iMacs and the MacBooks have the cameras built right in.
In the commercials, he played a PC in conversation with an actor playing a younger, hipper Apple computer.
Mac, why don't you say something positive about PC?
Okay, easy. PC, you are a wizard with numbers.
PC struggled to understand how and why he was always falling short.
I guess you are a little better at creative stuff. Well, thank you. Even though it's completely juvenile and a waste of time.
Please welcome John Hodgman. John?
Hodgman's foray onto the small screen had started with an appearance on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, following the publication of his first book in 2005. That went so well that the show invited him back as a regular contributor.
I sense, if I may, and I don't mean to embarrass you, I sense Hodgman mania.
A few months later, Apple called.
And you said no at first.
Oh, yeah. It's true. I was a dummy.
But they came back.
I think about that and I get chills, because what if they said, oh, too bad, we've got a million other people to think about for this. How different my life would be, and how, not just in terms of fame or success, but in richness of experience.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't be talking.
We probably would be great enemies.
PC, you want to see the website and home movie I made?
Oh, I'm so creative and all my programs are so easy to use.
During his run of 66 commercials for Apple, Hodgman continued to contribute to The Daily Show while landing additional acting roles.
I just don't like your uterus. Don't get me wrong, your eggs are in great shape, but you have a T-shaped uterus.
In 2009, he was even asked to roast the President of the United States.
Is the president truly nerdcore, or is it all just an act? As fake as those obviously prosthetic ears.
All of these experiences provided Hodgman a level of access few are granted.
Not just the Sky Club at JFK, and not just, luxury hotels and so forth, but the secret gifting lounges at the Emmys where swag is given away to you simply because you exist while being famous. And literal Masonic Lodge meetings where leaders of the world are meeting in secret to have a party, and you realize every conspiracy theory is true. And it's part of my obligation, I suppose, to show what's going on in there. And showing how status and fame and power and all of these small little vestments that we put on are really actually very flimsy and deserve to be pulled off every now and then so that we can really see ourselves.
But after the Apple campaign ended, and then Jon Stewart went off the air, Hodgman says the invitations started to slow, and then came the run-in with the corgis.
We all lose jobs, or we age out of jobs, or we get dumped by someone, or a teacher takes us aside and said, you're not doing a great job. We all lose status. And even though it might make you defensive and angry, if you take a moment, you can also reflect, you can readjust who you are and what you want to do in your life, and you can be better. So humiliation is except when it's purely cruel, it's actually a kind of gift, and it is part of the same impulse that leads to humility.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Saturday.
With all the attention in the UK turned to Brexit lately, some may have missed an important milestone in London this week. Westminster Abbey celebrated its 750th anniversary. PBS NewsHour Weekend's Megan Thompson has the story.
Church bells rang out earlier this week for the 750th celebration at the French Gothic-style church, which was consecrated on October 13, 1269 by King Henry III.
This is the third church on this site, and it's 750 years old this week. I mean, the place is unbelievable in terms of the number of things that go on, the number of visitors who come, the enormous number of people who come and worship day by day by day. At Evensong, we have hundreds of people who come to worship every day, and 2,000 people on Sundays on average. So it's an extraordinary place with lots going on.
Queen Elizabeth and Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, attended a service in observation of the anniversary and met with church officials. 16 royal weddings have been held at Westminster, as well as every royal coronation since 1066. The church was originally founded by Benedictine monks in 960 AD, and over the centuries has welcomed worshippers from all over the world and of various faiths.
I think a very important theme of the Abbey is that of one people. It's a centre for all faiths, a lot of interfaith services, Christians and Jews, relationship with the Catholic Church too. And I think the Abbey, since the 1960s, has tried to reach out to a very broad constituency to make itself a national church, but in a new age.
The church also houses the Shrine of St. Edward and a number of historic collections dating back to the 10th century.
Tomorrow, we will continue our signature series on the expansion of ICE detention centers in Louisiana, and we'll look at Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's bid for a second term in Monday's Canadian election. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Allison Stewart. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people. And by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Be more PBS.